Hey, and welcome back to the Deep Dive, where we take your sources and really extract the most important insights.
That's the goal.
Today, we're diving into a topic that, well, it touches every single one of us every day. Listening.
Crucial.
Have you ever felt like you're talking, but no one's really hearing you? Or maybe you caught yourself nodding along while your mind's just miles away.
Happens all the time.
You're definitely not alone there.
Yeah.
Our deep dive today, and we're drawing heavily from Kate Murphy's really insightful book, You're Not Listening. It reveals that true listening has become a bit of a lost art.
A lost art in this hyper-connected world, which is kind of the irony, isn't it?
It really is. Paradoxically disconnected.
Exactly. So our mission today is to unpack why genuine listening is more critical than ever, how modern life has made it so challenging, and really what you can do to reclaim this vital skill. It's not just about what we hear, is it? It's how we connect, how we understand, and ultimately how we transform our experiences, our relationships. Get ready for some, I think, surprising facts and maybe a few aha moments that might just change how you interact with the world.
I'm ready. So let's unpack this modern listening crisis. It seems like we've kind of swapped real connection for a virtual megaphone, haven't we?
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
The research, it points out that social media gives everyone a platform to broadcast, sure. But it also gives us the means to filter out views we don't agree with.
Right. We curate everything.
We often prefer, texts and emojis over actual phone calls. We retreat into these curated sound bubbles with headphones, safe in what our sources call walled-off lives.
And that term, walled-off lives, it's powerful because it leads directly to this creeping sense of isolation, emptiness even.
Isolation?
Yeah.
Is it really that bad?
Well, it's the psychology and sociology researchers are calling loneliness a public health crisis. Seriously, Kate?
Health crisis? Wow.
Yeah, the negative health impact. It's considered worse than smoking 14 cigarettes a day. Think about that.
14 cigarettes. Goodness.
It's linked to heart disease, stroke, dementia. This isn't just, feeling a bit down. It's deeply physical.
That's a really stark comparison. And it's not just our personal digital habits, is it? You see it in the media, too.
Oh, absolutely.
Shouting matches on news programs, the crosstalk you see in transcripts, or these super choreographed interviews that just lack any real authenticity.
Right. No spontaneity.
Our sources even bring up the Algonquin roundtables from the 1920s, famous for witty banter, right? But many members were apparently profoundly lonely and depressed people.
Shows that wit isn't connection, doesn't it?
Not at all.
And it really highlights how we fundamentally misunderstood what listening actually is.
Okay, so what is it then, beyond just hearing?
Well, true listening goes way beyond merely hearing words.
Right.
It's paying attention to how someone says it.
The tone, the body language.
Exactly. What they do while saying it, in what context, and crucially, how it resonates within you. How it lands.
So it's an active thing.
Very active. It's about eliciting clear expression from the other person, which, interestingly, can even help you crystallize your own thoughts in the process.
So it's not just passive reception. It's a dynamic interplay. You mentioned a snatch of magic earlier.
Yes.
Right.
That's what it can feel like. To really listen is to be moved. Physically, chemically, emotional, intellectually, all of it.
Can you give an example?
Sure. There's this story of a journalist interviewing the neurologist Oliver Sacks in a closet, apparently.
In a closet.
Yeah, weird detail. But she experienced these flashes of insight, recognition, creativity, humor, and empathy. That single conversation, years later, was still alive in her memory.
Wow. That's connection.
That's connection. And look, people get lonely for lack of this kind of listening. When we feel truly heard, we often share, tender things without being asked.
We open up.
We open up, we relax, we become more thoughtful. It nurtures this depth of feeling that, frankly, digital interactions just can't provide.
That makes so much sense. Okay, so if this deep listening is so vital, why is it such a lost art? Why do we struggle so much?
Well, it seems we've been conditioned in many ways not to listen effectively. And our brains actually play a surprising role here.
Our brains? How so?
Think back to childhood. Listen to me. What did that usually mean?
Uh-oh, rules are coming. Or stop having fun.
Exactly. Rules, limits on fun. And media doesn't help either, does it? It rarely reinforces the virtues of listening. It's all monologues or gotcha moments, not genuine exchange.
Sure.
And this conditioning, it continues into our adult relationships. We often fall prey to what's called closeness communication bias.
Closeness communication bias. What's that?
It's basically assuming we know what someone will say, especially those we know best.
Oh, right. Like with your partner or family.
Precisely. There was a study from Williams College and the University of Chicago. It showed spouses were no better than strangers at interpreting ambiguous phrases from their partners, sometimes worse.
Worse. Seriously. Yeah. So familiarity can actually make us worse listeners. That feels wrong.
It's counterintuitive, isn't it? But we stop listening actively because we think we already know.
Wow. Okay. And this challenge, it must be amplified by this echo chamber effect we hear about, especially online.
Absolutely. Big time. Polling and social media are often used as proxies for, what people think, public sentiment, but they're deeply flawed.
How flawed?
Well, research reveals that fake or bot accounts can make up a huge chunk, sometimes 15%, sometimes up to 60% of social media content.
60%.
Potentially, yeah. And the most active users, they tend to be a particular and not representative personality type.
So it's skewed.
Totally skewed. This reinforces insular thinking, alternative facts, because people selectively consume only what affirms what they already believe. They're not really listening to different perspectives.
Which brings up a really fascinating question. What's actually happening inside our brains when we do manage to connect, when we truly listen? And can we, harness that somehow?
We can, and it's amazing stuff. Neuroscientist Yuri Hassan used fMRI scans.
Brain scans, okay.
Right, and they show something remarkable. When you listen and really get what someone else is saying, your brain waves literally sync up with the speakers.
They sync up, like physically.
Physically, measurably sync up. This coupling or syncing of brain waves, as Hassan calls it, is visible, measurable proof of the transmission of thoughts, feelings, and memories.
That's incredible. Measurable proof.
Yeah. Another study found the more aligned friends' brain activity was, the closer they felt. It's a real neural bond, and it even influences how we process information after that conversation.
A neural bond. Wow. It almost feels like our desire to connect, to sync up like that, is hardwired.
It is. It starts right at birth. Our ability to listen empathetically as adults is shaped in large part by how well our parents or primary caregivers listen to us as kids. It forms our attachment style.
Okay, so childhood experiences matter a lot.
They do. But here's the hopeful part. History doesn't have to be destiny. You're not stuck. There are programs like Circle of Security or group attachment-based intervention that actually teach parents to listen better to their children. This helps develop functional relationships and can even reduce dysfunctional neural patterns.
How do they do that?
They often use video feedback, actually, helping participants recognize those missed listening opportunities in their interactions.
So you can see it. And we can literally rewire our listening habits. That's encouraging.
Yeah.
But what happens when our really deeply held beliefs get challenged? It feels like we just shut down.
We often do, and there's a biological reason for it.
Biology again.
Yep. Our sources reveal that when those core beliefs are challenged, parts of our brains light up. Well, the source says, as if they were being chased by a bear.
Fight or flight.
Exactly. Fight, flight, or freeze mode. It makes genuine listening incredibly difficult, almost impossible in that state.
Right. Because you're just focused on survival.
Precisely. And this primal fear, you combine that with the sort of unmediated discourse you see on social media. That's what fuels the increasingly uncivil and extreme political and cultural debates we see everywhere.
Yeah, it feels pretty extreme sometimes.
It is. The Pew Research Center, for instance, found large shares of the population aren't just frustrated or angry with the opposing political party, they're actually afraid of them.
Afraid.
55% of Democrats reported being afraid of the GOP, and 49% of Republicans said they were scared of the Democratic Party. It's a literal neurological reaction to perceived threats, not just disagreement anymore.
Wow. That's a powerful and honestly pretty concerning insight into our current landscape. Okay, so given all these challenges, our conditioning, our brains, the echo chambers, the fear, what's the secret for those who do listen effectively? Is there like a fundamental shift they make?
It often starts with something simple, yet profound, I think. Curiosity.
Curiosity, not some fancy technique.
Nope, just genuine curiosity. Take Barry McManus, a former CIA chief interrogator, worked in 140 countries.
Okay, CIA interrogator. Sounds intense.
Right. But his secret weapon wasn't some dark art. It was genuine, almost compulsive curiosity. He said he gets a rush out of listening to people who are different, even those who've done terrible things,
Right.
to understand their mindset, the stance, the beliefs. His approach wasn't bullying. He'd ask suspects like this Pakistani nuclear scientist, Sultan Bashiruddin Mahmud, to just tell their stories.
Tell their stories,
You
not
know-
just answer questions.
Exactly. Let them talk. Be curious about them as people.
That's an incredible story. It reminds me of Studs Terkel, the journalist. He famously said, everybody is interesting if you ask the right questions.
That's it, exactly.
Yeah.
And our sources push back a bit. If someone seems dull, they suggest, it's on you.
Ouch. Okay, so the listener has responsibility too.
A big one. Attentive listeners actually elicit more information, more elaboration from speakers. It's not passive. It's an active engagement that draws people out.
Like Ingvar Kamprad, the IKEA founder.
Yeah, great example. He would anonymously stroll through his stores, pretending to be a customer or an employee.
Why?
He just wanted to listen to ordinary people, to understand what they want, how best to serve them. He knew the real insights weren't in some boardroom, but out there, in those conversations. The value was in every exchange.
I have to admit, I know I'm guilty of not doing this enough. Thinking about what I learned from a conversation.
It's a good habit to cultivate.
Our sources challenge us after every conversation. Ask yourself, what did I just learn about that person? What was most concerning to them today? How did they feel about what we were talking about?
Because you already know about you, right? The value comes from understanding the other person.
True. But okay, beyond just being curious, how do we respond in a way that shows we're truly listening? It's not just about asking questions.
That's a really good question. Because passive nodding isn't enough.
Right.
Research by Graham Body shows people feel most understood when a listener responds with descriptive and evaluative information, not just mirroring or paraphrasing. Like, so what I hear you saying is,
Okay. Descriptive and evaluative. What does that mean exactly?
It means you've interpreted what they said, you've thought about it, maybe offered a perspective or connection. It requires interplay. You know, your dog or Alexa can listen in a basic way, but they can't provide that thoughtful feeling response.
Yeah, my dog's a terrible conversationalist.
Exactly. And Body found most people are only emotionally attuned like this less than 5% of the time.
Less than 5%. That's incredibly low. Shockingly low.
It is. It shows how rare that deep, responsive listening really is.
So it's about going beyond just the facts, digging into the subtext, the feeling behind the words.
Precisely. Carl Rogers, one of the most influential psychologists of the 20th century, he called this active listening.
Active listening. I've heard that term.
It's about hearing the words, the thoughts, the feeling tones, the personal meaning, even the meaning that is below the conscious intent of the speaker.
Below the conscious intent.
Yeah. So, for example, your coworker mentions they're moving offices. It's not just the logistical fact, right? It's the subtle sigh maybe, or the eye roll, or the slightly raised eyebrow that conveys the deeper meaning, how they actually feel about the move.
Got it. So reading between the lines, but with an active, empathetic ear. And I guess how we respond verbally makes a huge difference too.
It absolutely does. Sociologist Charles Derber identified two main types of responses.
Okay.
The most common is the shift response. That's where you direct the attention back to yourself.
Like, oh yeah, that happened to me too.
Exactly. Our dog digs under the fence, too. That kind of thing. It shifts the focus.
Right. We all do that.
We do. But the less common and much more effective type for connection is the support response.
And it is.
That encourages the speaker to elaborate more on their experience. So instead of the dog story, you'd say, oh no, where did you finally find him? See the difference.
Yeah, it keeps the spotlight on them, their story.
Exactly. It's a simple shift, but really powerful for making someone feel heard.
Okay, that's a great takeaway. Shift response versus support response. And what about silence? That always feels so awkward in conversations, at least for me.
It can feel awkward, definitely, especially in Western cultures. But silence is actually a really potent listening tool.
How so?
Well, take Greg Hoff, this furniture salesman. He learned that when customers were indecisive, the best thing he could do was just be quiet.
Just stop talking.
Yep. He'd let the silence hang for maybe 5-10 minutes, and often the couple would end up buying far more than they initially considered. The silence gave them space to think, to process, without pressure.
Huh. letting silence do the work.
In places like Japan or Nordic countries, silence isn't seen as awkward. It's often a sign of respect, of decorum, and research backs this up. Being comfortable in silence together is actually a sign of a secure relationship. It creates space.
That's fascinating. Okay, so we need curiosity, better responses, maybe even embracing silence. But in our modern lives, it feels like it's not just our mindset interfering. Our whole environment, our tech, it's constantly battling for our attention.
It absolutely is. You're fighting against the attention economy.
The attention economy.
Right. Microsoft research found the average human attention span dropped from 12 seconds in 2000 down to 8 seconds now.
8 seconds. That's less than a goldfish.
Supposedly, yes. Websites, apps, social media, they are explicitly designed to hook you. They often play on our social anxieties, vanity, and greed. Attention has become a commodity to be bought and sold.
Wow. And it's not just the digital stuff, right? Our physical environments.
Yes.
They seem designed to make listening harder, too.
You're absolutely right. Think about open office designs. Constant noise, distractions.
Or noisy restaurants, you can barely hear the person across the table.
Exactly. They average around 80 decibels, and the really trendy ones can exceed 90. That's loud enough to make sustained conversation difficult. Even background music in stores. It divides attention and makes full comprehension of conversations difficult. It's a constant barrage.
A constant battle against distraction. And yet we often kid ourselves, don't we? Thinking we can handle it all, that we can multitask effectively.
Oh, the multitasking myth. Our sources are really clear on this. The ability to multitask is a delusion.
A delusion. Strong word.
It is, but accurate. Each input, each switch degrades your attention. As the psychologist Daniel Kahneman put it, you dispose of a limited budget of attention that you can allocate to activities. And that budget is being stretched thinner and thinner.
Right. And even how we consume audio is changing. This whole podcasting thing, listening to podcasts at double or triple speed.
Yeah, or audiobook features like take me to the good parts.
It feels like we're actively eroding our ability to pick up on nuance, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. Tonal shifts, subtle sighs, pauses, accents, they all but disappear at those speeds. You lose the texture.
And does it affect how we listen normally?
The sources suggest yes. It makes it harder to maintain attention when listening to normal-paced speech because our brains get accustomed to that rapid-fire processing. It's literally reshaping how our brains engage with spoken language.
Wow. Okay, so this constant noise, this fractured attention, what does it all mean for our physical selves? How we actually interpret the world? Our ears are pretty amazing instruments, aren't they?
They are incredibly complex, yeah. Funneling sound waves to these tiny hair cells in the cochlea. And the ones tuned to human speech frequencies are the most sensitive. It's amazing biology.
Not everyone hears perfectly.
That's a huge factor. About 15% of Americans, that's nearly 48 million people, have some form of hearing loss.
48 million.
And when that happens, our brains try to compensate. They fill in the words you don't hear, but often they fill them in inaccurately, going with what the brain expects to hear based on context or bias rather than what was actually said.
So our brains can actively deceive us if our hearing is compromised.
Yeah.
Even slightly. That's a little unsettling.
It is. And remember, listening isn't just auditory, it's multisensory.
Right. You mentioned body language before.
Body language, facial expressions. We process pitch, loudness, tone, what linguists call prosody, and we can often interpret emotion from tone alone, even without understanding the words.
Like hearing arguing in another language.
Yeah.
You know they're arguing.
Exactly. But good listeners pick up on even subtler signals. Our sources mention facial expressions, including tiny, almost imperceptible shifts in facial color due to blood flow changes linked to emotion.
Wait, color changes?
Yeah, apparently these happen regardless of ethnicity or skin tone. Our faces, quite literally, show our true colors, reflecting shifts in feeling, and attentive listeners perceive those shifts, usually subconsciously.
That's incredible, picking up on color changes. Wow. But our brains can also filter information in a biased way too, can't they? Based on what we already believe.
Oh, absolutely. Yuri Hassan's fMRI experiments again. He showed that giving subjects just one piece of prejudicial information before they heard a story significantly changed their brain patterns as they listened. It literally routed the signals through distinct pathways depending on that initial bias. It suggests that habitually listening to, say, one news source versus another will actually make your brain measurably hear it differently.
So your brain physically processes the same information differently based on your biases.
That's what the research indicates. It really affects the way you listen, which is a strong argument for seeking out diverse sources, right?
Yeah.
To keep your brain agile and your listening less biased.
Definitely food for thought there. So, in this world, awash with algorithms and big data, where does deep human listening fit in? It feels like maybe we're moving away from valuing it.
It might seem that way, but the sources argue it's more important than ever. While big data gives us the broad brushstrokes, as one source puts it.
The overall trends.
Right. But deep listening provides the finer detail. It offers a truer truth. Naomi Henderson, a master focus group moderator, she's professionally listened to over 50,000 people.
50,000.
Yeah. She emphasizes that what matters in life cannot be counted. Algorithms, as another researcher, Matthew Salganik, notes, don't aspire to understand. They just correlate data.
They don't get the why.
Exactly. Listening, Murphy concludes in her book, is ultimately the best and most accurate tool we have for understanding human motivations, the nuances, the feelings, the why.
Okay. So we've covered a lot. We've seen that in this world practically designed to distract and divide us, the act of truly listening, it's more powerful and definitely more challenging than ever before. But here's the kicker, maybe the most empowering part. Unlike so many things in life, listening is fully under your control. It's your gift to bestow. You get to decide who deserves your attention.
That's a really important point. Agency.
And there's a flip side, too.
Yeah.
Our sources reveal that social regrets, the ones related to relationships, they're often the most intense regrets we have.
Yeah, those stick with you.
And not listening. It's apparently in that sweet spot of things that can really stir up regret over time. Because once that opportunity, that moment to connect slips by,
Yeah.
you can't get it back.
That's so true. You can't rewind the conversation. And that brings us to a final, maybe provocative thought for everyone listening.
Okay, let's hear it.
There's this story about Father Jorge Gomez, the rector of a basilica in Texas. He noticed the lines for confession were getting longer and longer.
People feeling more sinful?
That's what you might think. But he realized it wasn't about sin, not primarily. It was because people so badly need to be heard. It's like a wound. They are in a critical state.
Wow, like a wound.
Yeah. He found that simply making yourself available to listen to the people was what they were truly starved for.
A field hospital for the soul. Yeah. That's a beautiful and really powerful image for the act of listening.
Isn't it? Listening heightens your awareness. It makes you feel. It acknowledges the world outside your own head, which in turn helps you sort out what's inside. It reminds us of our common human vulnerability and fragility. And the source suggests it imposes the ethical imperative or duty to do no harm. Because when you truly listen, you connect with that shared humanity.
The ethical imperatives of listening.
So our challenge to you listening right now is this. What wounds might the people around you be carrying? Wounds that could perhaps be healed, even just a little, by the simple, profound act of you truly listening.
How might choosing to be present, to be curious, transform not just their lives,
With your own. Something to think about.